This is Conspiracy Theories and Chill. So thanks for coming. We're going to start here in just a second. I made you a video. We're going to watch that. And afterwards, we'll hang out and talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. So let me bring up the video. And we're going to start the video right now. Thanks for coming. This video is on the legacy of George W. Bush, or George H.W. Bush, rather, sorry. He's being celebrated all over the media today, and this whole, I lost track of what day of the week it is, but the last few days. I don't work a regular job. I work a sporadic type of job, so sometimes I lose track of what day of the week it actually is. But it's only Thursday. But he died recently, for those of you that don't know, and people have been treating him like he's a hero. So I felt like it was important to share a video that actually shows his real legacy in a shareable form, something short, but actually shows what this man was really about instead of what he's being shown in the media. So we'll watch this together real quick, and then we'll hang out for a little while afterwards. Welcome back to Conspiracy Theories and Chill. In this episode, we're going to discuss the legacy of George H.W. Bush. Born in 1924 to wealthy, infamous war criminal Prescott Bush, George began his life well connected to the true power of this world. He grew up privileged, attended Yale University, and while there was a member of the secret society Skull and Bones, an elite satanic secret society for the rich and powerful. Here's a look at their initiation ceremony.
The Pope wears a white monogrammed slipper which rests upon a stone skull. Each initiate is led into a chamber where fellow members shout obscenities and abuse the new initiate. The initiates are told that they are superior beings and are part of a privileged elite who use war, terror, and famine to control Earth's human population. This callous philosophy was illustrated in the Hollywood movie Skulls, made in 1999.
Pretty nice, right? Well, after Yale, George went on to become a millionaire in the oil industry with the help of his daddy's money. And once he had broke it big in the oil industry, George decided to get into politics at the age of 40. He was defeated in his first run for the Senate in 1964, but he won election to the House in 1966. In 1971, President Richard Nixon appointed Bush as ambassador to the United Nations, and he became chairman of the Republican National Committee in 1973. The following year, President Gerald Ford appointed him as director of the Central Intelligence Agency. Bush later ran for president in 1980, but was defeated in the Republican primary by Ronald Reagan, who then chose him as his running mate in his successful bid for the presidency. George then succeeded Reagan after his 2 terms and served 1 term as president, losing his re-election bid to Slick Willie Clinton. George was obsessed with the New World Order Illuminati agenda.
What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order.
This man that is currently being celebrated was in power for a very long time, and he always used that power to enrich himself and his powerful friends at the expense of countless lives. He is a murderer and a war criminal. His highlights include being an enemy of civil rights, playing an instrumental role in the Iran-Contra arms scandal, the brutal 5-week bombing of Iraq in 1990, targeting many civilian and infrastructure targets. His hands are literally dripping with blood to advance his precious New World Order agenda. George Herbert Walker Bush has a legacy, all right, but it's not the one currently being portrayed in the media. It's important to remember that this man was evil and remember him for what he truly was and represented. To muddy the truth just because someone has died and you feel the need to be respectful is how you end up with schools named after Civil War heroes. Thanks for watching Conspiracy Theories and Chill. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time right here. All right, well, that was the video I made for you guys. Let me get situated here. Some of your comments while the video was playing. Ethan says, buck fush. So I'll translate that for anyone that doesn't read Facebook. That means fuck Bush. Well, let me get my stand out here and turn this around so that you guys can hear and see me a little bit better. Hopefully you like that video. I barely finished that thing. I just got it done. That's why you're watching it out of my video editor yet again. But let me come up here on screen. Thanks for coming. And let me know what you thought of that video. It was short. I was kind of disappointed in the runtime. It was less than 4 minutes long. But on the other hand, I thought maybe that'd be good because people might share it more. You know, something short, less than 5 minutes tends to be the amount of time that people usually can hold their attention and get them to watch a video for about 5 minutes. So, oh, Ethan says, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Great video. Okay, I appreciate the feedback. Because that 3 minute 50-second video took me all day. And I'm still mad at myself over certain choices. Like I'm sitting here watching it with you guys and I'm like, oh, I should have used a different picture for that. Or I could have found something better right there. Or the New World Order speech, I could have found a better version of that speech. But I don't know. I put these together on my days off. I like doing these little shows for you guys, the Conspiracy Theories and Chill. And I like to make you a video. And where I work, we've been doing a whole lot of overtime. So we're working 6 days a week. I only get 1 day off. So I do these on my day off for you guys so that we can do these shows. And I try to do good videos for you. And I hope you like them. So I'm glad to hear that you did. Oh, I know, Ethan. I could have done a 30-minute video on George Bush. It's just making me sick watching the coverage and watching how he's being celebrated. And people even going so far as to say that he had a sense of humor when he was always very bland. You know, people going on and on about how, oh, he had a greatest sense of humor. You know, they just color the truth the however they want. You know, trying to be respectful because someone has died. You know, these people didn't even speak this kindly of him when he was alive. Ethan says Oliver Stone did an hour about Bush and the people's history. I don't know if I saw that one or not. I like Oliver Stone. I followed a lot of his documentary stuff. I might have saw that, but I'm going to have to look that up now because it'd be worth watching again. And it's worth looking at the truth behind these people. So if you are, I like to talk about the weapons of mass deception a lot and how the brainwashing that they have put on the American people, how crippling it is, and how the media is really our biggest enemy. And people are misled. So right now they're being told that this man, George H.W. Bush, is a hero, when really he's a war criminal and a murderer. And he's corrupt and filthy and part of the elites that control and rule over you. Very involved in that group. He's not your friend, basically. He's part of the group that you're not in, the group that Carlin spoke about. It's a big club and you ain't in it. He's in it. Oh, sweet. It's still on Netflix. I have Netflix. I'll have to watch that. But yeah, that'll give me something good to watch. Right now I'm watching season 2 of Making a Murderer. About 5 episodes in. That guy has the worst luck. If he really didn't kill that woman, Stephen Avery, he has the worst luck in the world because that's his second time being in jail for something he didn't do. The first time was a rape charge, and I believe he did 12 years. And so far in this documentary, he's been on this charge for at least a decade, if not longer. and he's still in there on the documentary. I don't know if he gets out. Don't ruin it for me. Oh, Ethan, they are good. You should watch them. Making a Murderer. Check them out. It's really interesting documentary series where they delve into this case of this guy making an appeal. He is in prison for murdering this woman on his property, and brutal murder. If you hear it described, it's terrible. This woman apparently was chained down to the bed. All sorts of things, use your imagination, fill in the blanks, and then shot in the head, but not killed that way, and then burned. The shot in the head apparently was not fatal. I don't know. It just sounded horrific. A lot of times when I'm listening to something really horrific, I tend to zone it out. So I may have the details of that all messed up. Because when the lawyers and stuff were talking about that kind of stuff, I would just kind of hum to myself in my head. I don't want to hear about it. I understand horrible. Just leave it at horrible. It's like that scene in Armageddon where the guy's like, worst scenario imaginable. Just leave it at that. Worst scenario imaginable. So, yeah, Ethan, lots of prosecutor. Oh, my God, tons. They had it out for this guy. They had it out for him in the first case when they found him guilty, and then he wanted to move out of this town. But like every poorly educated person that runs into a lot of money, because he got a lawsuit from the first case, and he got a little bit of money, but then he blew through it right away, and he didn't use it to move away. He wanted to get away from these people, but he didn't. And then they got this other case came down, and he got hit for it. Now, again, I haven't been convinced yet of his innocence. And you know how these documentaries are. If they have that information, they haven't shown it to me yet. But so far, he's looking innocent to me, or at least looking like he didn't have a good trial. Definitely like he didn't have a good trial. The prosecutors were very biased, and the prosecution and the whole investigation was very biased towards Stephen Avery's guilt. They wanted Stephen Avery for this case from the very start of it. And it's very clear when you see how it all played out. But I think it's just me and you right now, Ethan. So let's see. I had something else written down to talk about, and while I wait for anyone else to comment anything you want to talk about, we've already watched the video for this week. It was a short one. It was on George W. Bush's, H.W. Bush. I keep saying that wrong. But Herbert Walker, the dad, the one that just recently passed away. We were watching a video on his accurate legacy. And check that out if you're here late. It's at the beginning of this video. But me and Ethan were just talking about Making a Murderer. That is a really good show on documentary type shows. It's very interesting. It's frustrating. You'll get so frustrated. Watch, this guy has the worst luck, I'm telling you. But what I was getting ready to talk about is the United States of Israel. I say that sometimes, and I don't know, maybe I'm trying to get it to catch on. I don't hear anybody else say that. But Israel, do you ever wonder why we give so much aid to Israel? Why Israel factors into our foreign policy so heavily? Why it's becoming criminal to even criticize Israel? Have you ever wondered why? You really should wonder why. Israel has a huge influence over our country in every way. And even if you only care about money, we give them $38 billion a year? Isn't that it? More than that, really, when you factor in how we completely defend them militarily, and diplomatically, and stand up for them in every world stage event that they need stood up for. It's just unspoken that America will step in on Israel's behalf. Oh, Ethan says he hears it sometimes. Right on. Then I'm not crazy. Maybe I didn't coin the phrase, but at least it's catching on. The United States of Israel, I think it fits, because you got to wonder Why do we have so much influence from Israel? Why are so many senators and Congress people dual citizens of Israel? You know, look into a lot of this. There's a lot you need to look into, but you should definitely wonder about it. But the thing that brought it up is I saw a post shared on Facebook today, and I shared it myself, that for, I think, 50 years, we've been doing marijuana research in Israel or funding it. And of course we have, you know, and they've been, you know, benefiting from the benefits of all this medical research on marijuana over in Israel all this time, just like they benefit from universal health care and tuition-free college, these things that were pipe dreams. When Bernie Sanders talked about Americans having them, we fund Israel to have them, these things. Hey, Robert. Hey, Jeff. Good to see you guys join us, man. It was just me and Ethan for a little while, and we were hanging out talking about different stuff. We even got to talking about Making a Murderer. Y'all ever seen that show? That show is a trip. You ever feel like you have bad luck? Watch Making a Murderer, and you will realize that your life isn't really that bad. But for the latecomers, play the video again. You guys want to see the video we watched tonight? It's short. It's only 4 minutes. I think we'll play it for you guys. This was the legacy, a tribute to George H.W. Bush that I made today. We're going to watch it out of my video editor, and I'll just play it real quick for the ones of you that just got here. Welcome back to Conspiracy Theories and Chill. In this episode, we're going to discuss the legacy of George H.W. Bush. Born in 1924 to wealthy, infamous war criminal Prescott Bush, George began his life well connected to the true power of this world. He grew up privileged, attended Yale University, and while there was a member of the secret society Skull and Bones, an elite satanic secret society for the rich and powerful. Here's a look at their initiation ceremony.
The Pope wears a white monogrammed slipper which rests upon a stone skull. Each initiate is led into a chamber where fellow members shout obscenities and abuse the new initiate. The initiates are told that they are superior beings and are part of a privileged elite who use war, terror, and famine to control Earth's human population. This callous philosophy was illustrated in the Hollywood movie Skulls, made in 1999.
Pretty nice, right? Well, after Yale, George went on to become a millionaire in the oil industry with the help of his daddy's money. And once he had broke it big in the oil industry, George decided to get into politics at the age of 40. He was defeated in his first run for the Senate in 1964, but he won election to the House in 66. In 1971, President Richard Nixon appointed Bush as ambassador to the United Nations, and he became chairman of the Republican National Committee in 1973. The following year, President Gerald Ford appointed him as director of the Central Intelligence Agency. Bush later ran for president in 1980, but was defeated in the Republican primary by Ronald Reagan, who then chose him as his running mate in his successful bid for the presidency. George then succeeded Reagan after his 2 terms and served 1 term as president, losing his re-election bid to Slick Willie Clinton. George was obsessed with the New World Order Illuminati agenda.
What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order.
This man that is currently being celebrated was in power for a very long time, and he always used that power to enrich himself and his powerful friends at the expense of countless lives. He is a murderer and a war criminal. His highlights include being an enemy of civil rights, playing an instrumental role in the Iran-Contra arms scandal, the brutal 5-week bombing of Iraq in 1990, targeting many civilian and infrastructure targets. His hands are literally dripping with blood to advance his precious New World Order agenda. George Herbert Walker Bush has a legacy, all right, but it's not the one currently being portrayed in the media. It's important to remember that this man was evil and remember him for what he truly was and represented. To muddy the truth just because someone has died and you feel the need to be respectful is how you end up with schools named after Civil War heroes. Thanks for watching Conspiracy Theories and Chill. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time right here. All right, well, that was it. That's the video we watched tonight. So that's the first time I've ever done that, but that's a good idea for the latecomers on the short ones to go ahead and play it again. So let me know what you thought of that video. I'm being hard on myself about it right now because I'm still editing it. I wasn't ready. I said I was going to do this at 4, then I changed it to 4:30, and I still wasn't ready. But I went ahead and aired it. But let me know if you think it's done or you think I need to make some changes. Like I'm picking at myself over the New World Order speech that I included. There's a better one in the Oval Office where he talks about the New World Order and he goes more into depth. And he even does the creepy part, which is what I wanted to begin with, where he's like, when we succeed, and we will, you know, where he looks dead in the camera and he's like, we're going to. Oh, we absolutely will. Just in like a Mr. Rogers tone. We will own you. We will. You won't be able to stop us. Steve says he was in Dallas the day they killed JFK. I almost included that. And the only reason why I didn't, well, I don't know why I didn't. I should have. It could have been a 30-minute long video. I just wanted something quick and shareable that I could put on YouTube to be a counterweight to all this flood of bullshit and propaganda that's being spread over this man's life. George Herbert Walker Bush was no hero. He's a murderer and a war criminal. Jeff says he likes the longer NWO speech. I do too. I still might switch them. I'm debating on whether or not to switch them. But yeah, Steve, I agree. Hey, Nissa, I agree. People need to know. And history needs to remember accurately. We need to be fighting not just against the propaganda of the media, but the misinformation of history, the misremembering and the misrecording of history. We need to be fighting against that as well. Because like I said in the video, and it's true, that's how you get schools named after Civil War heroes. By honoring people that don't deserve to be honored. Like, for example, we're doing right now with George H.W. Bush. But, you know, people don't want to do that because, okay, the man just died. You know, somebody lost their father. And albeit a terrible person, George W. Bush lost his father. Now, the tears at the funeral didn't seem real to me. I don't believe that he has real emotions. I think these people are psychopaths. You know, our country is responsible for and does horrific things. To be president and be able to stomach what you are essentially responsible for as commander-in-chief of the military, you got to be, I don't know how you sleep at night, and continue the military-industrial complex's agenda worldwide. I don't know how you come to terms with that, you know, unless you're a special kind of person who doesn't have the moral restrictions that I have, you know, a psychopath. And they're from an elite bloodline, you know, like he's Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones only chooses 11 members every 2 years. And it's a very elite group. They only choose people that are influential and can help each other. And then that's exactly what they do. They do these humiliation rituals, one of which you saw there. And then they have this bond between each other, I guess, and they help each other throughout their lives. And when George W. Bush ran for president against John Kerry, you had two skull and bonesmen. So two people that have sworn an oath to be loyal to each other and their group running against each other for president. So, you know, and I don't know how many Skull and Bones members have been president, at least two, George W. Bush and his father. But Jeff says, remember how Bush called Reaganomics voodoo economics, and it became the blueprint for the Republican Party for 30 years. Yeah, it's staged, controlled opposition. They just pretend to be against each other. You know, if Reagan has a policy, he has to pretend he disagrees with it, even though he would vote for it if it was on his desk. They're phony. You know, and they answer to, we all know who they answer to. They answer to the people that actually own everything. And that's just the way it's been pretty much ever since they assassinated Kennedy. Kennedy, I think, was the last real president. And as I talked about last time I talked about Kennedy, he really only got that shot because he conned them. He made them believe that he was establishment, but he really wasn't. He really had his own agenda and his own plans, him and his brother. And once he got in and started implementing and showing his true colors and that he had screwed them over, basically, that's when they turned on John F. Kennedy. They were in support of him when he was running for president. He was the golden boy. He had him completely fooled that he was on board. You know, because, and one thing standing in the way, and it was in the way then too, I'm sure, but is how much money it costs to run for president. And this is really off topic, but I got to thinking about it while I was thinking that, because I'm thinking, you know, how much he had to raise and how many people he had to convince that he was on board with their agenda, when he really knew that him and his brother had this whole different agenda that they wanted to accomplish. And then he was just really raising this money in order to get in power and implement the plans that he wanted to implement, not what he's saying to these people. But mostly, ever since JFK, they've gotten someone that is just basically a CEO of a company, which is sadly what our president truly is just a CEO of a company. And the corporation just happens to be the United States of America. And you are the goods and commodity. Congratulations. You're the slaves, you're the property, you and the land. Let's see, who's here? You guys talking about anything? We got to talking about Israel a little while ago. We can get into them a little more. Like I said earlier, what brought it up was a Facebook post that I saw today. Someone had shared, and they were outraged to learn that we've been funding medical marijuana research in Israel for the last 50 years. Israel has a lot of things that we don't have. Like, for instance, I talked about this earlier, universal health care and tuition-free college, and we give them $38 billion a year towards that. And you have to wonder why it's good enough for them, but it's pie in the sky for us. You know? I mean, I know why. We have an $800 billion a year military budget. That's why. We have to police the entire world. If we didn't do that, we'd be able to afford all this. It wouldn't be pie in the sky. There'd be money overflowing. But the military-industrial complex took hold of our country during Eisenhower's administration, and their control over it has never ceased. The Illuminati, the New World Order, and the military-industrial complex have complete control over everything in your life, and will until enough people wake up to what's actually going on, and we have the numbers to actually revolt and do something about this. because I don't think we'll ever rise up and actually have a real revolution. I don't think we would do that. You know, there's a certain amount of conditioning that's gone into people over time, and we've been trained and bred to accept certain things. And I just don't think we'll ever rise up. You know, I hope I'm wrong, because, you know, a lot of people say you can't vote your way out of a rigged system. And they might be right, but I feel like that you have to try, because that's the only path. Because, like I said, I don't believe we'll rise up and revolt, but hopefully I'm wrong, because people may be right about the not being able to vote your way out of a rigged system. I sometimes find it hard to argue with them, you know, even though I feel like it's our only way, you know, just like Bernie with the Democratic Party, that it's the only way that makes sense. It's our only option. It's our only way to fight back, and we have to do something. We can't do nothing. So I don't know. You got 6 of one, half a dozen on the other. But I think you have to vote. I think you have to vote and participate. I think that's our path, and that's what we need to do. Protest, vote, participate, get out and engage and inform yourself and get involved. Because I don't think you'll ever rise up. The people that are waiting for that, I think you're going to be waiting for a very long time, and then you're going to be disappointed, because I don't think it's ever going to happen. Robert says the problem is, at some point someone has to hold the American people accountable for the actions of their leaders. Absolutely. I think we're well past that point. It's just that, again, bringing back up what I talked about a little bit earlier, the media is such an enemy in this regard as well, because they brainwash the public into accepting certain things. They set the stage for them, they set the narrative, they lay it all out, and then they make it easy for people to accept what we're doing, because they're not looking for the truth themselves. They think that what's coming out of the box at 6 o'clock on whatever channel is truth. They don't question it, and they don't look for truth anywhere else. So if Rachel Maddow doesn't say it, it's not happening, and they don't have to worry about it, and they can go on and, you know, watch the new episode of The Connors or whatever's on next. Steve says, rise up like the French are doing. Are you looking at the French? These people are supposed to be cowards. Are you looking at this? And I love how they're all wearing the safety jackets. That's smart. And you're able to identify each other, and it's a non-threatening outfit. Beautiful. You know, those are cheap too. We could all get a safety vest and a few rocks. That's all they're using, and they're making progress. The police over there have already are surrendering to them. I've seen multiple videos of police refusing to, you know, basically whatever, crowd control or whatever our police would call it, to intervene with the protesters anymore. They don't want to fight on the side of the government against their own people. Basically laying down arms, refusing to restrain them. Robert says these are depressing times, and unfortunately, I can't disagree. They are very depressing times. It gets overwhelming when, especially when, you know, I worry a lot about it. So, and a lot of you probably do too. When you're trying to think of ways to get out of this, when you're thinking on down the line, like trying to think a strategy, like what would you do? You know, people always want to say, or piss and moan about what Bernie does or what this different politician does, or rather, but when do you think about what you're going to do? What would you do? When you sit and think about that, a lot of it becomes overwhelming, because you're like, I don't know, where do you even start? You're up against so much, so many big entities. And like I said, the biggest one is the media. And with the media, you're up against a history as well, because there was a time where people could trust the media. Time when journalists would bust scandals wide open. That time has passed, but it existed. So you got to fight against that history as well, because people are like, they want to point to that. And they'll be like, well, look at this. Look at all these times that that there was real journalism, there was things exposed, and the fourth wall of our government, which should be should be journalism, is there to protect everything else, there to hold it all accountable. And it's been taken over by 6 corporations. And propaganda has been made legal, and it's a weapon. Media is a weapon, and most people are affected by it and don't even know, have no idea, would be offended if you told them they were brainwashed. Just absolutely outraged. There's no way they're brainwashed. They'll go right back to watching everything that they watch, taking in everything that they take in. Sometimes I wonder, how do you make them wake up? Because I woke up on my own, and I don't know about you, but you probably woke up on your own. I don't know that anybody woke you. Do you know anybody that was woke by somebody else, that somebody woke them? And I'm not talking about, close friends or family. I'm talking about like a stranger. Have you ever, in a debate, like let's say on Facebook, have you ever woke anybody? When you're dropping truth on let's say, a Hillary supporter, for example, have you ever woke them to even the fact that's clear and in their face that the primary was rigged? Can you even wake them to that? I can't. They're so brainwashed, they don't listen. They just don't hear anything. And then they always want to throw up that one statistic about how Hillary beat Bernie by 3 million votes. Do you understand that some of those were primary? They weren't all counting votes. Some of it was for delegates, some of it was for votes. They weren't all. I don't know. It gets frustrating talking to these people. And I could be wrong with what I just said, but I don't think I am. I think there was certain states where the votes weren't counted, and in those states, Bernie dominated. But someone correct me on that. Oh, Steve says by law, the French have to have those vests in their cars. That's a smart law. I could get behind that, and that makes sense. That makes sense why they all have them. But there's some kind of organization going on there, because they are all wearing them. Unless it was just a snowball effect and people got out of their cars with their baseball bat and was like, let me throw on the vest. Nissa says, she noticed how bitchy we all are since Trump was elected. Well, that's manufactured as well. That's manufactured by the media. The fake outrage about Trump and everything being over reported, every little bit about Trump, and the complete and total focus on Trump, that's all manufactured. You always have a boogeyman, and right now I think it happens to be our president. They always have to keep everyone on edge and worried and afraid, and especially divided. And he is the great divider. You have great uniters. Donald Trump is a great divider. He's also a great enabler of people with ignorant, moronic opinions and behaviors. He's an enabler of all of that, and a great divider as far as splitting everyone right down the middle. And he's a great villain. He makes a super villain. As far as their little soap opera of politics goes, Donald Trump is a terrific villain. Jeff says the official story is French protesters are against the gas tax. The real story is they are protesting multiple policies. Oh, of course. The media, have you noticed that our media, I've seen a few memes made about this, is hardly reporting it. This is huge news. These are huge riots in France. The public is revolting. And anytime that happens, our media underreports it because they don't want us to get any ideas. Do you understand? We have the most freedom anywhere in the world, the most rights. As far as the Constitution goes, we're protected the most. For us free people, and we cherish our democracy so much, we don't ever use it though. A huge part of democracy is rising up, participating, getting out in the streets, protesting, informing yourself on issues, and knowing what's going on around you. There's a responsibility to democracy. and we ignore it. We always want to run around, yay, America, and we're free, and all of this. And yeah, that's great. But do you participate? Do you inform yourself? Do you know what's going on? Are you aware of what we're doing in the world? And are you taking any accountability for it? And the answer is going to be no to all of that. They think they're so free. I don't understand. They've accepted these rigged elections, just all of it at face value. They ignore, because you're not taught. You don't really get educated. You're just indoctrinated. School in America is just an indoctrination factory. They're just making you into a good citizen, a good worker. They're not trying to inform you. So you're not really informed that part of democracy is participating in it. You think, oh, well, I voted straight Democrat. No, you just went in there and selected boxes. You behaved like a robot. You did exactly what they wanted them to do. Did you learn anything about any of those candidates? Did you learn anything about any of those issues? Did you learn anything about those judges? Did you learn anything about anything other than taxes bad, Democrat good, however you vote? But Clinton says Trump is not a divider. The brainwashing media is dividing the people with propaganda made legal by Obama. Now, okay, I agree with you and I disagree with you, because Trump is a divider, absolutely. Trump is a con man. Trump is a professional con man, and he's very good at it. He's a very good speaker. For someone with such a limited vocabulary, Trump is actually a very good speaker. He keeps everything brief and concise because he can't venture too far out into the limitations of words, but he is very good at what he does. He's very good at playing to the people that like Trump. And he's absolutely a divider. He has huge turnouts at his events, does not make him less of a divider. Those are the people that he's enabling. He's not enabling. Is he inviting in the blacks? I hate to say that way. That sounded so harsh. I hate that we have all these divisions between each other to begin with. But is he inviting in minorities? Is he demonizing minorities? Is he inviting in Latinos and Mexicans, or is he demonizing Latinos and Mexicans? Is he a divider or a uniter? You know what I mean? Is he making the caravan into boogeyman, or is he talking about how we destabilized their region and made things horrific for them, and we're responsible for why they're heading this direction to begin with, and that they're only looking for a better life? And even if we're going to reject that, we should process them like people seeking asylum, which is legal. Or is he shooting tear gas at them and making them out to be villains and saying things like they're only sending their worst and they're rapists and criminals that are all criminals? And when you're seeing pictures of women and children, but when you hear him talk, you would think they were all tattooed thugs straight out of prison, Clinton says he invited blacks to the White House to discuss prison reform, and Kim Kardashian too, right? Yeah. I understand that he's talked to Kim, Kanye, and other African-American people. What is the current PC thing to say? I hate that you even have to say any division, any separation of any race or anything like that. I don't even like using that stuff, and especially not in public speaking. It sounds so stupid to me, because we're all the same. These are all bullshit divisions you created to divide us, just like Trump. Trump wasn't supposed to happen, and now that he has happened, the media is using him as a distraction and a division. I agree with you. Like I said, we agree and disagree. The media is using Trump to divide people and distract people, and Trump is a divider. So they're being hit from both sides right now. It's just coming at you from every angle. Robert says the media is the one causing the division. Again, absolutely true. the media is, its full intention is to distract and deceive you. So totally on board there. Just saying that President Trump is also a great divider. Robert says, he says people of color. You know what? I like that one the best. But that sounds, I like that one the best. It sounds the best coming out of my mouth. But I also think it's probably offensive. I bet you it is, because it has a 1950s twang to it, you know? So, and that's the only reason why my mind is rejecting it, because like I said, it sounds better coming out of my mouth, or feels better, because any of the others just sound wrong. It's just, you know, and I've heard black people talk about how being called African American is stupid because they've never been to Africa. So I've heard both sides of that one too. You never know what to call anybody. Like I would be considered white, but I'm not white. I'm like a beige. Clinton says the tax-paying Americans are not responsible, and we will be the ones paying for their welfare. We can't absorb every poor person from every poor country, just saying. I'm not saying to take them all in. I'm saying we process them like people seeking asylum. You know, why are we sending 5,000 troops to the border? Why aren't we sending 5,000 caseworkers? You know, and processing them and either sending them on their way or admitting them in, whatever decision is made, but handling it in a humane way instead of shooting tear gas at children. I don't know. Yeah, Ethan says we could stop ruining other countries so they don't want to come here anymore. And then maybe they'd also not want to kill us anymore. You know, I mentioned Iraq in the video. A lot of people, I don't know how old you are, but I remember very well the first war in Iraq, the war in Iraq under President George H.W. Bush. What was it called? Operation Desert Storm. Isn't that what it was called? Anywho, we bombed the shit out of Iraq for 5 weeks. Just devastated them to the point where when we went in with troops, their army was surrendering to camera crews. They didn't even care that they didn't have guns. They're just like, we're done. But we were bombing everything. We were bombing civilian targets. One of the things we did during that first Iraq war is one of the biggest war crimes ever recorded. We killed like 470 people at a hospital. Men, women, children, elderly women and children. Not elderly women. Elderly, comma, women, comma, and children. Burned them alive, you know, in this building. Horrific war crime. That's on President Bush. We were bombing civilians. We were leveling cities. We dropped, I forget the statistic, but close to 90 million tons, I think, of TNT on Iraq over the course of 5 weeks. Yeah, Ethan says Desert Storm, then Desert Shield under Clinton, then Iraqi Freedom under Bush Jr. Ethan says we've overthrown every government in Latin America at least once, and several of them twice. Our foreign policy is horrendous, and we've created a lot of these circumstances that have made situations unlivable where these people are from. And of course they are seeking a better life somewhere else. Now, we have a process for how to handle that. Seeking asylum is not illegal. This country is founded on immigration, so process them like an immigrant should be processed with dignity and handle it humanely. And then you either send them somewhere else so they can continue to seek asylum and find a better life. You don't shoot tear gas at them and treat them like garbage, like less than people. Treat them like human beings, which is what they are. And like I said, instead of sending all these troops down there, why didn't we send enough people to process them? Clinton says, where would it stop? They passed how many countries on their way here? They could have requested asylum in a few other countries. If anything or anyone deserves asylum, it is the Venezuelans. Come on, bro. Soros is funding caravan to destabilize the USA. How would the caravan destabilize the USA? We'll start there, and then while I wait, I'm going to touch on the countries that they passed through. I'm not way up on geography, but did they pass through any country on the way here that would have been a better situation? I mean, maybe slightly better, but was there really any countries on the way here where they were like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and set up here. I'd have to look at a map. I don't know offhand geography that well. I don't know exactly what they passed through. Maybe you can tell me that too. But Steve says, shock and awe, you talking about Iraq? Oh my God. And they were showing it on the news. They were so proud of it. They were showing it like it was a movie. I can remember it like it was yesterday. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of history on TV. Like I watched the Challenger explode, and 9/11, a lot of crazy things. It was one of the craziest things I've ever seen, the coverage of that war. Okay, Robert says, why didn't they just enter into Texas, 1,500 miles less to walk? I don't know the answer to that either. I don't know why they went the direction that they went. And I'm not saying Soros is not funding people. I'm not saying he's not giving support or putting it behind. I would not put it past him. I'm also not saying he is. Like, I don't know enough about that to make a comment either way. And I also don't know why they chose whatever direction they chose. And I also don't know why they didn't stay in any of the countries they walked through. Other than maybe they didn't find them suitable. It doesn't matter. You're able and legally allowed to seek asylum in the United States. And you're also allowed to seek to immigrate to the United States. And in either case, you should be processed like a human being instead of treated like an animal. Ethan, oh, you did the research? Honduras, then Guatemala, then Mexico. All states we've destroyed with the drug war. Exactly. So they really didn't pass through a better place to be. This is the best stop on the way. Now, why they didn't go through Texas, as Robert brought up, I don't know. I'd have to look at a map for that too. I'm not sure why they chose the direction they chose. I don't know why you would choose an extra 1,500 miles if that's accurate. But Clinton says, open border policies destabilize countries. Please look at Germany and France. And again, I didn't say to open the border. I said that we have laws in place and it's not illegal to seek asylum. So we need to process these people and not treat them like animals. These are human beings that deserve to be treated with dignity. And I didn't say you had to let them in, but you should look at each case and process each case as per the laws. They're not attacking. They're not running in here. They're not pushing past the line. They're not overtaking the soldiers. No one's invading. No one's coming for your job. These people are looking for a better life. Where they live is unlivable. If where you lived was unlivable, you would be looking for a better life too. Oh, Babas is here. She doesn't think so. Do you agree with Clinton? I did not. I'm not saying let them in. I'm saying you process them like human beings. There may be circumstances where you can't, or you can only accept a small percentage, or you can this or that, but you should then redirect them to some other place to seek asylum. They can't go back to where they came from. Clinton says, are we to accept all the people from these other countries? No. I didn't say accept everyone. I said process them as human beings. I'm going to start beating my head on the microphone here in a second. I didn't say let everybody in. I didn't say open borders. I said treat human beings like human beings. That's all. They're not enemy combatants, and they shouldn't be treated as such. Ethan says, I'll be heading to Canada depending on the 2020 election. Do you need a roommate? No, I can't go nowhere. Babels will never move to Canada. She will never go to Canada. I would like to live in Canada, other than the cold. Other than the cold, it seems like they probably have extreme cold there, and I don't really like to be extremely cold. I prefer to be cold over being hot, you know, and only hot because I live in the Midwest. So hot here also equals thick, because you could cut the air with a knife in the summer here. The humidity is so thick. If you're somewhere like, I've been to Vegas before, and it's really hot there. It's even hotter. It's so hot you don't realize how hot it is because they don't have any humidity. It's the humidity that makes it terrible. But I couldn't live in Canada because of the extreme cold, and Babels wouldn't move there. There's two reasons why I couldn't go with you. Clinton says you could have millions of people seeking asylum. Who will pay for the process of millions of people? Okay, so you need to go about the process. If you're uncomfortable with the law, you need to go about the process of changing the law. Right now, it's legal to seek asylum in the United States. You would have to change that to being illegal for it to be a criminal act in order to treat these people as criminals. So you would first have to do that, because right now it's legal. It's currently legal. So, and there is a process in place. So if you have millions of people in your example, which you don't, but if you did, then you need to make some kind of accommodations to process those people in a reasonable way, because, or change your laws, you know. Steve says Ronald Reagan had the biggest amnesty program of all time. Ethan says, Clinton, it's cheaper to pay for some lawyers and caseworkers than soldier deployments. Yeah, that's not cheap to send the military anywhere, you know, and 5,000 troops, mobilizing 5,000 troops, and then, you know, setting them up in a remote location. That's expensive. And you factor in the terrible PR, how bad it looks, even though the media is underreporting it. Well, they're reporting it now under Trump. I'm not saying that Trump's the only one that does this either. This happened under Obama. So I realized we hadn't gone down that road, but for anybody that was going down that road, I'm not saying that either. The media only was reporting on it because it's happening under Trump. Otherwise, they wouldn't be touching it either. Jeff says it seems like the globalists are trying to depopulate large portions of the world. The caravan is a part of that. That is absolutely true. And on both instances of what you said, the caravan is a result of the depopulation agenda. Just that, and this again is, we're lucky to live where we live. We don't happen to be in one of the places that's under attack right now. But if you were, you would not feel the same way that you do. Just look at it that way. If you didn't happen to be lucky enough to live here, that you won the genetic lottery and you ended up in the United States, and you're lucky enough to be here and not in Honduras or the Middle East, you know, in some of these places that are being ravaged by our military and the cost of our way of life, basically. Hold on. Clinton says, what constitutes asylum? War or just being from a third world country? We could have a nonstop flow of asylum seekers. But do we? It's been legal all along. I mean, it's not recently legal. It's not like Obama made it legal. It's been a law. It's a law that it's legal to seek amnesty in the United States. It's also legal to immigrate to the United States as long as you go about the progress. You know, there's a policy and progress in place, but as long as you follow it, that's legal as well. But that's, what do you mean constitutes? I don't know what you mean by what. Are you saying, I don't want to go too far with it. I'm gonna let you clarify it on your own, because I was gonna try and do it for you, but a lot of times when I'm doing that, because it's hard during these live feeds, because even though it feels like we're talking to each other, I'm really interpreting what you're saying through a phone. So you're depending on my reading comprehension is what I'm trying to say, which isn't always so great, and I don't want to be wrong. But okay, he says part of depopulation plan is to bring down America and implement one world government. Again, I'm on board with you, Clinton. You're right. You're right. Our pesky little freedoms are one of the bigger roadblocks in the way of the New World Order agenda. And the collapse of America is one of the last steps in their plan. It is planned to collapse America. They will intentionally collapse America. It's part of the plan. It's already been decided. It happened a long time ago. And for one of the reasons is what Clinton said. And like I said, our pesky little freedoms get in the way of a lot of the things that they want to do. So Jeff says we are under attack through climate change. Yeah, we are. We're under attack in a lot of ways. Another big way that we're under attack is this 5G that they're rolling out, that a lot of people are ignorant to or not worrying about enough, I think. Not that there's anything you can do about it at this point, so like, why worry about it? But you need to look into 5G. That stuff is dangerous. And it's going to be everywhere. Let's see, though. We've been going about an hour, so I'm going to talk about some stuff that I have coming up in future Conspiracy Theories and Chill. But while I'm doing that, feel free to comment anything that you want to talk about, because I'll go a little longer if you guys are wanting to talk about something else. So if something's on your mind, maybe something current or anything, any conspiracy at all, or anything really, just comment and let me know. But coming up in future videos, I have a new Mandela effect video coming out. I'm working on the script for that. I'm done with the first draft. I got to go through and do some rewriting and some research on it. And I really want to research it good. And I'm going to tell you why. I made one about a month ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. That last one that I made that I showed you guys. I talked about the Apollo 13 clip. This made me mad because now it has always been, Houston, we have a problem. Even though when I was researching that video, there were many instances of Houston, we've had a problem, which is why I included it in the video. But now that doesn't exist, and I got Mandela, man. I got tricked. Anywho, I like it though, because it's a Mandela effect in a Mandela effect video. It's like a flip-flop. There's even a term, because these Mandela effect people, and this is one of the main reasons why I made another one, other than the fact that I'm obsessed with the Mandela effect. Even though it's not really a conspiracy, no one's hiding them. Well, as far as I know, it could be a conspiracy. They could be hiding that we slipped into a different reality. They could know. You know, you never know. There could be a conspiracy part to it, but I got told that it's not really a conspiracy, but it's still fascinating. They fascinate me. But what I was saying is these Mandela effect fans on YouTube, they are very, very cool people, and they participate. Like this video, one of these videos is up to almost 3,000 views already. For me, that is huge. My videos average around 50 to 100 views. So anything around 3,000 views already in just a couple of weeks, that is huge for my channel. And then it's got like 50 comments and 100 likes. And, you know, so I'm encouraged. I'm excited to make another Mandela video because of that. So you guys that like conspiracies, what I'm basically saying, the moral of this story is, you guys that like conspiracy videos, like those things too, because you guys don't even, there's crickets over there when I upload a video. So that brings me to my next point, ways to support the show. One of the main ways and the free way to do it is to just like and share this, and then go to my YouTube channel, check out the videos on my YouTube channel, like and share those, subscribe to me on YouTube, me on Things and Stuff. Those are all free ways to support the show. I also included links in the description. You can become a supporter of us on Patreon, and that's a subscription program where you donate $1 a month or $3 a month or whatever you want to donate, and you subscribe to become a patron of our show. I also included a link for my PayPal. You can just buy me a cup of coffee. You know what I mean? If you feel the need to, or feel like you want to do something for the show. And then I can use that money to, I wanted to share this YouTube comment. I got a comment on my YouTube from somebody, a new subscriber, and I thought it was so cool. But this comment was, you need a new microphone and better production stuff, but I like your narration and pace, so I subscribed. So it was like, they liked me, but you need better shit. So if you want to help us get better shit, better equipment, like better microphone, better camera, better things like that, better production value to our videos, you can donate and support the shows. But like I said, you can also freely support us just by sharing. But so I got that Mandela video coming up. And then as far as conspiracies go, the next conspiracy video I think I'm going to do is on the layout of Washington, D.C. I don't know how much you know about that, but the layout of Washington, D.C. is incredibly interesting. So we're going to go into that. I'm going to make a video about that. It's just going to take a lot of research. So it may not be the next one that I do, but it'll be pretty recent. It's one I'm working on. But while I gave you guys all that time to comment anything you wanted to talk about, nobody did. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you guys so much for watching Conspiracy Theories and Chill. And I will see you guys on the next episode. If you got here late and you're watching this later on, feel free to still comment. I hang out and I look at the comments and I respond to the comments. So feel free to still participate in the conversation. As a matter of fact, I could use ideas for upcoming shows. So if you have things you would like to see me cover in a Conspiracy Theories and Chill, let me know in the comments and I will do them on future episodes. So give me things that you want to see me cover in the comment section, or talk about whatever you want. Thanks again for coming, and I'll see you guys next time right here. I'm going to get better at this. Baba's bought me an attachment, so I can actually use my mouse now, but I'm still really slow.